Okay, here we are inside Adobe Dreamweaver, and I'm going to show you how to create an HTML CSS layout. We'll be talking about layouts in here, how to create standards compliant layouts with pure HTML and CSS. Okay, now on my desktop, I've got a folder called here and back, and in here there's the images folder. Okay, just got the images. If you go back here, run. Okay, that's where I'm going to create the design. So back to Dreamweaver. First thing we need to do is we need to define a site. So I'll just click on Dreamweaver site in the welcome screen to define a new site, and I'm going to call it here and back. That's the name for my site, here and back. And the local site folder will be the folder on desktop. It'll be desktop and here and back. I'll just click select. I'll be talking about this more in another video. And I'll just click on save. Now for Dreamweaver will refresh the memory in here in the files panel. I can see these files, images folder and text folder. Okay, now I don't need the spray files, so I'm just going to delete that. I'll just select it and press delete key on the keyboard. Yes, I want to delete it. I'm starting fresh. Now the next step will be to create a new HTML file. So just click on create new HTML. This will create a blank new document with no content whatsoever. Okay, and now what we do? First, we're going to create a first CSS rule for the body tag, which is the background, and at the same time, we'll create a new CSS file, a CSS style sheet. So in the CSS styles panel, I'll click on this little page icon to create a new CSS rule. For selector type, we have 4 options here. Body tag is an HTML tag. So we're going to use tag in this case. Tag redefines an HTML element. There's a certain number of HTML elements that can be redefined. And Dreamweaver should select body tag by default. If you click on this drop-down menu, you'll see all the available HTML tags in HTML specification. Okay. Alright. Because I'm using Dreamweaver CS5, I can also see HTML5 specifications, for example, the canvas HTML tag. You won't see it if you use Dreamweaver CS4 or CS3. Now the rule definition, where do I want to define it? I can do it in this document, or I could create a new style sheet file. Okay. For now, I'm just going to create it in this document only, and then I'll show you how to move the style sheet. Just click OK. Now what do we want to do with the body tag? Okay. The first thing we want to do is we want to reset some defaults for the web browsers. As you know, web browsers have certain defaults. For example, there will be a certain space between the edge of the browser window and the content. So I want to reset that. So I'll go to the box category and I'll set my padding to 0 and margin to 0 to reset the settings to the defaults. I'm also going to add some background to the body. So I'll go to bodies category. I could add some background color, but instead I'm going to use an image. So I'll click browse, I'll go into the images folder, and I'm going to use the image called Romania, this one here. Okay, this one here. I'll just select it. Dreamweaver is telling me that I should save the document. That's okay, right? And I'll just press OK. I'm done here. Now I'm looking at the image, which is my background of the page. Now let's save it. I'm going to preview in a web browser, and at the same time Dreamweaver will prompt me to save this document. So I'll go to preview in Firefox 4 and I'm going to save it. Yes, I'm going to call that let's say, just going to call it test, because this is just a test page, and just click save. And now Dreamweaver will open my web browser and will preview the page, and I should see the image in the background. Okay, this is kind of an old photograph. Just going to close that. Okay, and I've got my first CSS rule. I'm just going to click on plus sign to show it. There's a body tag, and these are all these settings here. Okay, now let's create our first skeleton. First, we're going to create a container for the whole page, for the whole website. We'll start by creating new CSS rule. When we create layout, when we create components for the layout, we'll use in IDs. Okay. and you can see it says here applies to only one HTML element. This is the main difference between IDs and classes. When you create an ID or a div tag, you can only use it once per page, but that's fine for layout, because if you look on a website, any website, there's only one header or navigation, there's only one footer, there may be there's only one wrapper that holds the whole website, there may be a number of columns, but they all have different names. So I'll just use the ID and I'll give it a name. I'll call it wrapper, or maybe make it more descriptive, I'll call it container. And again, I'm saving it in this document only. I'll just press OK. Now I'm defining the size for my website. So I'll go to the box category. Once again, I'll set my padding to 0 and my margin to 0, resetting the defaults. And I'll set the size for the website. I'm going to make it 780 pixels wide, and let's start with 500 pixels for the height. And I'm also going to give it some background color. I'll use white. And I'll just press OK. Nothing's going to happen because I've just created a rule, but I didn't insert anything on the page. The next step will be to insert the div tag with the ID container. I'll go to my insert panel. Okay, I'm in the common category. Okay, so if you click on it, you can see the categories. I'm in the common category, and if I scroll down, I'll see insert div tag. So I'll click on insert div tag. Because I've created ID here already and I haven't inserted it yet, it will be available in this drop-down menu. So I'll select container. Now this insert should say at the insertion point. Because it doesn't, I'm just going to cancel that for just a moment, and I'll click on the page to insert my cursor. And I'll go here again, insert div tag at insertion point. That's great. I'll select container and I'll just press OK. This will insert my container with the white background, 780 pixels wide and 500 pixels high. I don't need this text, so I'm going to delete it. I'll just press the backspace on the keyboard, because the container won't have anything. Container is just a wrapper for all the content. The navigation, the footer and the columns will be inside the container. Okay, let's create another CSS rule. So new CSS rule in here, another ID, and I'll call that navigation. Okay, and I'll just press OK. Navigation will be the same width as the page. So I'll go to the box category. Once again, padding 0, margin 0. For width, I'm going to make it 780 pixels, the same width. For the height, I'll just make it 100. And for the background, I'm going to insert a background image. So I'll quick browse, and I've got an image here called header. This image here, and it's 780 by 139, slightly higher, but we can change it later on. And I'll just press OK. Now again, we're ready to insert it. So I'll go to the insert panel and I'll choose insert div tag. From the ID drop-down menu, I'll select navigation. Now for the insert, navigation will appear inside the container. All the components will appear inside the container. Because it appears inside the container, it will go after start of tag and container. Okay. Most HTML tags have opening tag and closing tag. So if I position something after start of the tag, I'm positioning it inside. And I'll just press OK. And that's our navigation. I'm just going to delete this text and I'll preview it. I'll click on the browser icon and select Firefox. Yes, I want to save the changes, and this will open the page in a browser. That's the navigation. So far, so good. Okay, just going to close that and close the browser window as well. And I'm going to insert now the first column. I'll have two columns in here, sidebar and the main column. So again, I'm creating a new CSS rule. Just click on it. Again, I'm using an ID. I'm going to call it main content. Avoid using spaces when you name your selectors. So main content ID, just press OK. I'll go in box and I'll start with 0 for padding and 0 for margin. I can change them to other values, and I'm going to change them later on, but for now I'll just leave them to zeros. Now for the width. The page is 780 pixels wide. Now I need to divide it into 2 columns, main content and the sidebar. I'm going to leave 280 pixels for the sidebar and 500 pixels for main content. So I'm going to add 500 pixels here, and I'm not going to add any height because I want the main content column to expand to accommodate the content inside. So I'll leave it blank. Don't type in 0, leave it blank, and I'll just press OK. I'm not applying any background color. Now I'll insert it. Insert div tag, ID main content. Main content appears after navigation, so after tag, navigation, and just press OK. That's my main content. I'm just going to add some text here so you can easily see it. I'll just type in welcome. Oops. Welcome to here. Oops. Here and back. Travel. And I'll press enter, and I'll add some custom text here. I'm just going to use the Lorem More extension from Adobe website. So I'll just go to Insert, Lorem More. I'm going to show you how to get Lorem More in another video. And I'll use Shakespeare, and I'm going to add 2 paragraphs of text. And I'll just press OK. Okay, looks great so far. Let's preview it. Preview in Firefox 4. Yes, save it. And that's how it looks in a web browser. Okay, so far so good. We're going to make some more changes on this in the next video.